Okay, perfect. So hi everyone, welcome to tonight's event. My name is Claire and I'm on the Arizona Science Center Teen Advisory Board, and this event was put on by the Teen Advisory Board, and our mission is to re-engage teens in STEM through a range of events, and right now all of our events are virtual, so you can join them from anywhere, which is really great. But this is actually our second event in our Pursuing STEM in High School series. And we do have one more event in this series, and that's going to be in 2 weeks on July 9th. So if you like what you hear tonight, then be sure to join us then as well. There are going to be different speakers, so different perspectives on how to pursue STEM in high school then as well. But for tonight, a quick overview. You're going to hear from these 4 different speakers that you can see on the screen. Then there's going to be a Q&A session with these speakers, and we're going to end with a resume building activity. So before we begin, if I could ask, oh wait, never mind. Everyone already has their mics off and their videos off, so that's perfect. And I'm gonna hand it over to one of tonight's MCs, Manuel. Thank you everyone for coming.
Hello everyone. So to start off, the 4 speakers, we have Kaya, who is a rising junior at Basis Phoenix. Secondly, we have Ashi, a rising senior at Basis Peoria. Our third speaker will be Faith, a class of 2019 graduate from University High School. And last but not least, we have our 4th speaker, Rita, a class of 2020 graduate from Mountain Ridge High School. So as heard before, our first speaker will be Kaya Shutria, sorry if I butchered that, a rising junior at Basis Phoenix. She has invested time into exploring the medical field. She consistently attends the U of A Saturday and Sunday summer scrub lectures, and she founded her Medical Explorers Club to dive deep into different medicine-related jobs.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaya and I'll be talking about exploring the medical field and how I started my own club at Basis Phoenix. So first, when we first look into the medical field, there's so many different professions and different specialties that you can go into. And at first, when you look at this, it can be really overwhelming, which is where I had the idea to start my own club at Basis to help me look into these specific fields in medicine. And what also helped me with this idea is U of A's Saturday and Summer Scrubs. So Saturday Scrubs was a program that it was one Saturday every month, and each Saturday they would go over different systems in the body, and we would do different hands-on activities and case studies and things like that that were facilitated by U of A's medical students, which was really cool because we could ask them questions about what they were going into and things like that. And I also did Summer Scrubs, which is a 1-week camp at U of A where different healthcare professionals came and talked about what they do and how they got there. So that was part of how I came up with the idea to do something similar at my school, where I could have some people come in and talk about what they do in the healthcare field. So after I had this idea, I talked to an advisor who helped me put this idea into an actual club. So I talked to my biology teacher, but at your school you could talk to an administrator or one of your teachers. So they were really helpful in helping me start this club. So after I talked to an advisor, I had to find other people who were interested in medicine also. So in my school, I had to have a minimum of 10 people that were also interested. So I posted on Instagram and just to let people know that I was trying to start this club, and a lot of people were interested. So that's how I got the people who came to the club. And then after you find those people, I had to reach out to doctors, physicians, and nurses and other healthcare professionals that were willing to come in and talk to us about what they do, how they got there, and just their journey in the medical field. So these are the people that I reached out to that came to talk to us. So Dr. Khurana, who is a nephrologist, Dr. Snow, who is a toxicologist, Dr. Lawrence, who's an ER doctor, and he actually brought in suture kits from his hospital. So we practiced suturing on oranges, which was really interesting. It was a fun hands-on activity. And then Dr. Amin was an anesthesiologist who came in. And then on the 5th week, we borrowed the blood pressure cuffs and reflex hammers from our anatomy class, which is a really fun hands-on activity that we did in this club. And then after the 5th week, we had to switch to online school. So it got cut short, but we are still hoping to continue this next year. And then after you reach out to doctors and all of the nurses, which I found from my family friends and also my mom's friends from the gym and just random places like that, I found those doctors and I just asked them to come in and talk, and they were really helpful and willing to come talk to us. And then the 5th step is just figuring out the logistics. So when you want to do this, how often you want to do it, and just things like that. So that is how I started my club at Basis Phoenix. And that's all I have for today. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for that insightful presentation, Kaya. So as mentioned before, our second speaker will be Ashi Jarihala. Ashi is a rising senior at Basis Peoria, and she has conducted research at ASU on semiconductors and was accepted into a summer course for neuroscience at Johns Hopkins CTY program, where she completed an independent research project on neurosyphilis.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Ashi Gurijala, and my presentation today is going to be about choosing the right extracurriculars to better prepare you for your future and using them to help you succeed. The first step to choosing the right extracurricular for you is to be sure or ascertain the career avenue or even field of interest that you want to pursue as you grow up. There's a couple of ways that you can go about doing this. The first step is to map out a list of subjects that really interest you and narrow it down to your favorites, or the ones that interest you the most or appeal to you the most. Second, think about what you really enjoy doing, and not necessarily through an academic lens. Think about what you like doing or thinking about outside of school. What subjects do you like reading about? What kinds of books do you read? What movies do you watch? Do you do any self-research on topics or classes outside of school? All of those will help you give you a really good idea of the kind of career you want to pursue as you grow older. After you've achieved a good idea of that, it's good to try and research professions or occupations that fall in your fields of interest and discover which ones fit you the best or which ones speak to you the most. Remember that it's okay to have more than one field of interest. Almost everyone isn't really sure of one specific one when they're in high school. The second step is, once you've narrowed down your list of career or fields of interest, research certain extracurriculars that fall under them. That can include, but is not limited to, doing research on the internet or talking to your school about the kinds of activities and opportunities that are available to you, or even your peers about what they engage in. For example, if you're really interested in physics, chemistry, or biology, you might gravitate towards science bowl or even academic decathlon. Or if you're really interested in law, you might gravitate towards debate or model UN or mock trial. Or engineering, you might gravitate towards robotics. There's a lot of different extracurriculars that are available to you if you just look for them. So once you find a handful and a couple of extracurriculars or activities that really appeal to you, make a list and go down the list and prioritize them, placing your favorites at the top and the ones that you really want to do towards the top, and the other ones towards the bottom. If by any chance you still can't find any truly appealing activities or you're having trouble deciding which ones you'd rather do more, don't be afraid to give at least one that you're a little skeptical about a chance. For example, if you're really into science, but you're not sure about astronomy, don't be afraid to give it a shot. Every activity has something really valuable to impart on you if you're willing to give it a chance and willing to invest the time enough in it to see that. The third step is to start working on entering in and participating in the top extracurriculars on your list by, for example, joining the club or talking to your parents in school about entering those types of activities. It's really good to do activities both in and out of school because you get more variety and you gain a much different experience from both of those. So make sure you're trying and participating in both. If, say, the club or activity you want to do isn't necessarily available to you, you can take the initiative and start the club yourself. Not only does that show a lot of passion, but it will help you gain more experience when it comes to leadership role as well. So at this point, the extracurriculars that you've chosen should be directly linked to your career. But once you get into the hang of things, it's okay to start doing ones that lie outside your chosen field, or if they're about skills that you wanted to pick up before you graduated. For example, for me, I'm really interested in chemistry and biology, and as such, I have an internship at ASU that allows me to pursue both of those and research both of those topics. But I'm also really interested in politics and issues that are really pressing in the world today, so I'm also part of the debate club. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in that sense. So now that we've done that, and we've talked about all of that, how do we use our activities to actually succeed? Well, effort and time are two things that rarely go unrewarded. The best way to succeed in your activities is to invest a lot of time and passion into it. As Teddy Roosevelt once said, nothing is worth doing if it is without effort or difficulty. For me personally, I've often found that chasing success or focusing on the end result often tends to leave you behind and without. But doing something because you really enjoy it can give you a lot more success. Your passion shows in your work, and it's a lot more internally satisfying as well. Another thing to help you succeed is take initiative. Play a more active role in your club or activity by being a leader and that entails being willing to give it your all. For example, if you're part of Academica, don't just be in the club and participate in the competitions. Maybe try and put a lot more time and effort into it by reading more books, or even taking the opportunity to teach maybe some of the less experienced members of your club the things that you know and the skills that you've obtained. But be very careful here. Time management is key when you're dealing with multiple extracurriculars. Setting a set schedule and knowing a certain amount of time that you're willing to invest in each activity can maintain a healthy balance and make sure your extracurriculars are being beneficial without overloading your plate or tiring you out. So the biggest things to take away from this presentation are that you should enjoy what you do. Success for the sake of success or activities for the sake of activities might fill up your resume but not your heart. That's why picking extracurriculars that are in line with your future career are really important, because you get the chance to do what you love while also garnering a lot of skills that will be helpful for you in the long term. And make sure you're keeping with your priorities. It's okay to not do everything and get through everything on your list. As long as you're doing your best, there's no reason to worry or panic. There's only 24 hours in the day. Thank you for the opportunity to present today, and I hope you all have tremendous success in your future.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Next, we have Faith, who is a class of 29 graduate from University High School. She participated extensively in robotics and STEM clubs throughout her high school career. She presided over both clubs in her upperclassmen years, and she interned in bioinformatics at TGen, where she processed data on brain tumors and cancer types.
Thank you, Manuel. That's a nice introduction. Let me pull this up. All right, so I'm just going to speak about a few of the lessons I learned while pursuing STEM in high school. So the first one I want to talk about was my experience in RoboCrew. I spent about 4 years there, and I started off not knowing anything and going from a follower to a leader. So when I started off, this is an image of one of the first robots that we had there. or that I saw is, and I didn't know anything about the mechanics, the wiring, electrical programming, none of it. So I really started from the bottom there. And so what I had to do was learn how to be a genuine follower. So the difference between a normal follower and a genuine follower is really important when it comes to becoming a leader. So the regular follower passively does what they're told to do, or comes and when they're needed. However, the active follower asks questions about what they're doing and asks questions to other members when they're done with their own tasks about what they're doing as well, and how they're doing it. So this kind of creates an environment where you're always bringing in new knowledge, and it creates relationships with other members and it tells them, I'm engaged and I care what I'm doing. And that's what makes a genuine follower. And by being able to do that, you show that you're ready to be a leader. And so here I learned how to program, and I'm teaching others how to program. I was the lead programmer and co-president of it. And so this really helped me not only become a leader, but also understand the other members and help them on their journey from becoming a follower to a leader. Even the passive members, I was able to help them become more engaged because I understood what it meant to be in their position. But becoming a leader doesn't mean you ever stop becoming a follower. There are times when you make mistakes and you have to keep learning. So like the time my senior year, I accidentally ran the robot into myself. So I use this image to portray that. And I had to learn how to be more cautious. So in that moment, I had to become a follower again. However, you always take the information you learn and use it to guide others. So it's always a cycle that keeps going. You never stop being a follower, but it always helps you to be a leader. The second experience I want to talk to you about is my experience at TGen. I did bioinformatics there. So essentially what that means is that I took data and I used programs that either I myself or someone else wrote and processed that data to get an end result. It's pretty simple like that. But I learned two key skills that are important for any STEM career, and that's critical thinking and communication. So I want to give an example of how critical thinking works in the workplace. So let's say you're assigned a task, your boss or mentor says, all right, you have to get this result, and here's a way you can try to do it, and you're going to need these blue prerequisites. Like for me, that would be data, and I'm running it through a program to get a certain result. But for some reason, let's say you don't have these blue prerequisites, right? All right, so the most immediate thought might be, oh, let me just tell my boss or mentor that I don't have these prerequisites. Well, that's good, but if you want to show them that you take initiative and have those critical thinking skills, think about another method that could be used with prerequisites you do have, or like data you do have for me. So what that means is going beyond what you're told. That really means doing extra research and asking yourself, well, is there another way that other people have done this to get the same result? And that not only shows that you do have those critical thinking skills, but it also shows initiative, responsibility, and there's truly a deeper understanding and care about the work you're involved in. And that's really important for bosses or mentors, especially when they're going to recommend you down the line. But the other important thing is communication. So you've done all this work, you've gone through all this processes, but now you have to tell the rest of the STEM community what you've done. So it sounds simple, you just say it, you say what you've done. But it's not that simple, really, because you need to really make it concise. So how do you turn all that into one little package for everyone? Well, that really takes on things like English and arts. Now, you guys might not be as interested in them, but I can tell you it's so important to engage with them because it helps you break down this mess of processes that you've gone through into simple metaphors, analogies, simple graphics, and really nice storytelling that leaves people engaged and makes them want to continue your work to broaden the STEM field. Now, this is not only important for people who are not familiar with STEM, but also for people who are even professionals in STEM, because a lot of times STEM professionals don't know what you're talking about because they don't work in the same niche you do. Like all my work had to do with cancer, but someone in the lab right next to me was working with cystic fibrosis. I know nothing about cystic fibrosis. So in that area, we would have nothing in common. And even if we both know a lot about what we're doing, none of our information really merges. So you really have to understand your audience and really break things down even for professionals. So that's why communication is so vital if you want to further your work down the line. Now, the last thing I want to leave you guys with was a quote from my calc professor. He said, "Life is too short to do what you don't love, but pass my class first." Now, I really love this quote, not only because it cracked me up at the time, but because it also showed how important it is to have character in everything you do. So for me at the time, I was decided, well, engineering wasn't for me. And he really brought the point home, well, like, even if it's not for you, take the responsibility of the commitments you do have, whether it be a class or a leader in a club, and complete that commitment before you move on. So I think you guys already have a responsible trait for your own academic and career goals, because you guys came to listen here to us today, and I want to thank you guys for that.
Thank you for the excellent presentation. Next, we have Rita, a 2020 graduate from Mountain Ridge High School, who developed a large skill set from her dedicated time in HOSA and her school's biomedical pathways program. She offers a diverse program perspective with her experiences from TGen's Leadership Academy.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Rita, and I'm gonna share my screen. So hi, my name is Rita. I just graduated from Mountain Ridge High School, and I wanted to talk about how you guys can score an internship in the STEM field. So first, on how to find internships, I would say to talk to the counselors at your school, because I know that in the counselor's office, that at least at my school, you can see many different programs like around the classroom and everything. And if you, for example, I was like mainly in science, I'm going to ASU Barrett for medical studies. So for me, I always asked my chemistry or my biology teachers for any programs that they knew of or any people that I could reach out to. I would also say to look up internships online. I know Tallo, which was formerly called STEM Premier. I've used that website for multiple internships and scholarships. You can just look up anything you're interested in, like for technology or anything relating to science, and they have a lot of opportunities there that you can go and apply to. So this is just a list of the programs that I listed. So I was involved in the TGen Bioscience Leadership Academy. I was the class of 2019. It was a 2-week program, and I completely enjoyed it. It was an amazing program. It was an internship for 2 weeks, and we were able to shadow the TGen Helios scholars, and it was certain areas, so such as cancer or diabetes. I did cancer. It was also very interesting, and I would recommend anybody who wants to go into science to apply. I'm mainly in science, so some of these programs are more science than anything else, but there are some like astronomy camps. But I would also suggest that you go look at like NAU, U of A, and ASU websites to find any other programs that you would like to apply to that are in state. And yeah. Okay, so to prepare a resume to get into any of these programs, I've provided a QR code and the link for a sample resume template that I personally have used myself, and that has allowed me to get into numerous programs. So I would say to become involved and just be involved in your school and out of school, because they truly want a well-rounded character when they choose somebody. So becoming involved in certain programs, like for science, HOSA, Future Healthcare Professionals is a club at my high school. You can become involved in like robotics or like academic decathlon or any of those clubs. Just become involved in them and at least try them out. Like go once, and if you didn't like it, then you can not go again. But I would suggest that you go try out everything that you could possibly want. And if you're staying, stay in that club if you truly like it, and be able to dedicate a lot of time to it and be able to gain their leadership. So being able to, so I personally was in HOSA, Future Healthcare Professionals, for 4 years, and I became secretary this past year, so my senior year. and I was able to go to competitions, and I made it to state, but sadly because of COVID-19 I was not able to go there. So, but that's okay. And so you can gain leadership in multiple clubs and be able to put that on your resume in a clear and concise format. They don't want a bulky resume. Like a one-page resume would very much be helpful so that you can be able to like see all the major details for that. And I'd also suggest that what I personally have done is I create a master resume that could be up to however many pages long, with everything I've ever done, any of my classes, any of my like community service, my objective, where I'm going, any graduation like details. And that one is just all like has compiled details. And for every program I would create a different resume to gear to that program, so that exactly I'm showing them what skills I have to dedicate to this program. So you can take a screenshot of the QR code, or I think we can provide it later. So what they look for, so some of the skills that you can like in your resume, so basic skills such as being a team player, communication, your ability to learn, but also some skills. So there are two types of skills. There are soft skills and hard skills. So soft skills are the ones like communication, your ability to learn, but hard skills are the ones that you like being bilingual. Like personally, I speak both Arabic and English. So being bilingual, or being able to like for a science person, like laboratory skills, such as like micropipetting, like gel electrophoresis. So all of those things you can put in your resume, like obviously geared to that perfect program. So for your resume, as I said before, it's usually a one page with all your major accomplishments, and I've already attached the sample. That one needs to be clear and concise so that they exactly know what they're looking for and they don't spend a lot of time. And for your interview, I would say to watch a lot of videos and like have questions prepared. They sometimes ask normal questions like tell me about yourself and all those basic ones, but there's also some other ones such as like having to like what skill would you want to learn if you had all the time in the world. So I would say that you just be prepared for anything and just truly be yourself. And yeah, so thank you for listening, and I just wanted to leave you with this quote which says the expert in anything was once a beginner. So just don't be afraid to try new things, and yeah, so thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Now we will begin our Q&A session with our stellar MC, Sohan.
Hi guys, my name is Sohan Chalera. I'm currently the Vice President of the Teen Board, and so I'll be the moderator for the Q&A session. To start off, to create a more clean Q&A session, I'll designate the speakers into pairs. So there's Rita and Faith, who are in one pair, and then there's Ashi and Gaia, who are in another pair. The main reason for this is so that the answers are not as redundant. So to start off with one question, oh yeah, and also it would be fine if Rita, Faith, Gaia, and Ashi, if you can open your mics and videos right now. Okay, so this question is for Faith and Rita. How has the role of humanities helped you within your high school experience as far as guiding you into your STEM career? I can repeat it if you'd like.
So the role of humanity and how it has helped us in our STEM career?
Yeah.
Okay, so personally, I've been volunteering at Honor Health Deer Valley Medical Center for the past 2 years, and just being able to experience firsthand what happens like on the healthcare front lines. Obviously, I can't be there right now, but just being able to so I deliver flowers to like sick patients in the ICU, so just seeing their face like light up and everything just showed me how like small of an impact I can have. But my goal is to be a physician, so being able to leave that much more of an impact on somebody using science and just being able to help people would like truly inspire me.
That's fantastic, but I was referring to the humanities.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. Okay.
You want to answer?
The
or I
humanities has most helped me in like writing and communication. That seems where I've most used it.
Okay. So this question is also for Fade and Rita. So Pranav asked, it seems a lot of you guys got into TGen. So is there anything specific that TGen looks for in applicants, whether that be clubs, extracurriculars, or volunteering?
Personally, when I was hired, my mentor told me that I was hired because my recommendations looked like my recommenders made me look very passionate and about computer science and the such because of programming experience that I had not only in robotics, but also in my classes. I took AP Computer Principles, and the recommender was my teacher of AP Computer Principles, so she was able to see how much effort I actually put into creating programs. So I think really that always having that engagement with what you're doing has really helped me to look good to the TGen committees.
So when I got into TGen, I actually applied for the Bioscience Leadership Academy, and it was just 2 weeks. But when I did get the position or the internship, I was told that they chose people, or the committee chose people who they knew would fit well together and be able to work well together. So it's honestly, during the interview, it's just about being yourself. There's nothing else they look for. They just want a group of teens there was 20 of us, who just wanted a group of people who can work together and be just as motivated in anything. So I think just being able to show your true self, and obviously being a well-rounded character with volunteering and good grades and all of that, will be able to get you into teaching.
Yeah, if I can add, companies are very different. TGen, their culture is very kind. They're always looking for very kind people to come in and work for them. So that's just specific to TGen as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna give this question to Ashi and Kaya. How does philosophy, ethics, history, and more liberal arts play into STEM?
So specifically the subjects that you talk about, the way that it plays into STEM is because they teach you a lot of skills that are universally important, even in STEM fields. For example, in some philosophy classes, you have to write a lot of papers and things like that, and it teaches you a lot of writing skills. And one of the biggest problems I think the STEM field faces today is that a lot of people struggle with writing in terms of STEM, because that's also a huge part of STEM, because you have to write papers and things like that. And classes like philosophy or ethics or things like that teach you the skills that become really important for things like that.
I would say a similar thing, and I would add that communication plays a big part in STEM, because you have to be able to reach out to people and make connections with other people to make your experience like the best it can be.
Thank you so much. Okay, there's another question for you guys. What is the biggest obstacle which you have faced within your process of searching for extracurriculars and in your role as a leader within your extracurricular activities?
I think for me personally, the biggest obstacle that I probably had faced was that when I first started out going into the extracurriculars, I wasn't as successful, and it was kind of hard to be really successful at extracurriculars that were really hard, like an internship. But the way that you overcome that is, like I said, putting in a lot of time and effort and sticking it out, because when you keep putting in that time and effort, the rewards materialize themselves. So my biggest word of advice on that front would be, even if you feel discouraged or things aren't going as well as you want them to, if you keep putting in consistent effort, that will automatically solve itself, is something that I've learned.
My biggest challenge probably was that there wasn't anything already at my school that I had that interested me, so I had to actually come up with my own club and start it from scratch, which was difficult, but with the help of like my teachers and the admin, it was they made it possible.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this question is, I'm gonna leave this up to any speaker to answer. So an attendee asked, I would like to go into more of an engineering field, but I'm really new to coding and software. How can I get experience in that field without going into robotics?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few ways you can do that. I know there's Khan Academy, that's an easy one. They really guide you like step by step. edX is another one. They have Python for free, and it's taught to you by a MIT professor on there. There's a few other softwares you can use. You can go into gaming software. I can't remember the specific names, but I know I learned C++ on that, and it's really helpful in just learning how to use code and create lots of more specific methods and functions to just get used to it. So when you want to bring it to other fields, if you want to specifically talk about like statistics, I'd say R is free for everyone. So, and R is not like other like Java, Python. It's not like that. So so that would be a good one if you're interested in more statistics.
Are there any other inputs? Oh, okay. Are there any other inputs from any other speakers?
Well, I know there's a lot of different types of engineers, so my word of advice would be do some research and figure out which type of engineer you want to be first. So say if you want to be a biochem engineer, then there's a lot of, you can take some extra classes at your school or like electives that are related to that, like genetics or biochem engineering, and then do some more research that, like, going off of what Fate said, there's also like classes on MIT OpenCourseWare where you can learn specific fields of engineering like that. But I think the first step would probably be to determine what type of engineer you want to be, because otherwise that's like a pretty broad and vague field.
I agree. Thank you so much. This question is specifically for you, Ashi. What were the extracurriculars that you were involved in that really cultivated your interest in STEM?
So my internship is definitely one of the biggest things that cultivated my interest in STEM, because while I was interested in chem and bio before going into my internship, the ability to research and go hands-on into the field really, it was inspiring in a way that I hadn't realized otherwise, because it really motivated me, because I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to contribute to the world in a way other scientists had. A bigger reason is, I think like it was in my introduction that last year I got accepted into this neuroscience course at Johns Hopkins, and neuroscience is hands down my biggest passion in life. And just being able to delve deeper into the course and research something that I was so passionate about just drove me more. I think something that really motivates people into STEM is how the further you go into it, the more you want to experience. And that's honestly what I can say about my experience.
Okay. That's awesome. So I will be giving this question to Ashi and Kaya. How do you recommend getting research internships with individual professors throughout the academic year?
So the way that there's a lot of different ways you can get internships, especially in Arizona. That's one of the really great things about Arizona. You have a lot of opportunities. Specific schools like ASU have programs like SEEN, where you can apply, and if you get accepted, they link you with a specific professor and an internship. The way I went about getting an internship was I compiled a list of professors that were doing research in chem and bio that I found really interesting. And I created my resume and emailed all of them and sent out my resumes to them. And then one of them or a couple of them responded, and then it just clicked after that. So I would start with either emailing professors or looking up the programs in Arizona where you can try and get that automatically.
I personally haven't done any internships yet, but my advice would be to reach out to as many people as you can, because if you reach out to a lot of people, one person might, or there's a higher chance of one person accepting that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this question is for Rita and Faith. Especially in high school, there's a lot of academic work what you have to do, especially with the SATs and APs and schoolwork. How do you manage all of these classes, the exams, while also maintaining strong extracurriculars?
I'd say really having a planner, delegating your time to specific things is really what helped me go through, and really considering your extracurriculars as your free time per se, because if you're doing the extracurricular and you're not having fun with it, then maybe that's just not the extracurricular for you. So really make your extracurriculars your free time and schedule.
I agree with Faith. Like if you're truly, so I devoted my time to around 5 clubs that I was involved in. I was an officer in 3 of them, but I made sure to always like time manage and make sure that, so if I had a Monday for free and I knew that there was going to be a chapter due next week for AP US history, I would do it the week before so that just in case anything else comes up or a test or a quiz I'd have to study for, I would always be ready. And as for studying for the SAT and ACT, I took them multiple times, but I always made sure to, so I did get a tutor, like, sorry for the but, so I did get a tutor and I just time managed to at least, like 2 hours per day, I think, for each subject in the ACT. So yeah, so I just make sure to always like plan ahead and just have specific time delegated. And as Faith said, my free time was my clubs, as I couldn't do anything else besides that. And one of my clubs was actually sports medicine, so I was on the field for football games. So I was able to delegate my time to also the medicine side of sports, but also go to a football game at the same time. So I was able to do a lot of stuff, just making sure that my clubs were something I truly liked.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll be taking 2 more questions. Considering I do have quite a few questions, I'll be sending my email out within the chat. And if the attendees want to forward me their question, I can then forward it onto the panelists and shoot the answer back to the attendees. Okay, so this is for Wade and Rita again. Do they take computer programmers for TGen, or was it just something extra? If so, do they use computer programs in TGen internships?
Yeah, they take 2 kinds of people. They're called the wet lab people and the bioinformatics people, essentially. And so if you know computer programming, you're probably going to be used as a bioinformatician. And what was the second part? I'm sorry.
Let me bring it up. Okay. Do they use computer programs in the TGen internships?
I guess I'm not sure, like I mean, like, yeah, they use computer programs, but I feel like that's more specific to something that they're trying to ask.
The attendee wasn't specific.
Yeah.
But I would assume that they're referring to coding languages.
Yeah, I used, from what I've used they've had R, Java, command line writing, Python. Those were the ones that I saw the most.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, this is for Ashi. What do you think set you apart from the other applicants at Johns Hopkins?
That's a really good question. So a big part of the applications process was me detailing the classes that I had taken. And so the classes that you take really reveal the kind of person you are in STEM and the kind of interest you have in STEM. So for my specific application, because I'm so interested in neuro and biology, I had taken a bunch of bio classes. Like I had taken zoology, I had taken AP Bio, honors bio, and now psychology too. So I think that really reflected in my application when they were picking people for neuroscience, because it was clear that I had a really vested interest in this subject, which is what I think set me apart.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we are gonna proceed with the post Q&A session activity. So in this activity, what we'll be doing is we'll be going over 3 mock resumes, and then I'll be pushing out a series of polls regarding the different mock resumes. So let me just share my screen really quickly. Trying to. Okay, can you all see my screen? I think so. Okay, so first we have a resume by John Doe, and then his summary of qualifications is that he's knowledgeable in operating various ultrasound machines. He's self-motivated, a quick learner. He worked at Gila River Healthcare. He actively participated in department and company-wide activities to help improve patient care and communication while ensuring that patients and families are educated on the exam to be performed. And he got his education at various institutes like USC, Pima Medical Institute, and Central Arizona College. Next, we have Sabrina Williams, in which she is a compassionate and dedicated nurse with 7 years of experience in direct patient care. She has a variety of skills such as IV management, time management, quick problem-solving abilities from her experience at Johns Hopkins Hospital and Mayo Clinic, in which she controlled infection risks with careful care of wounds and thorough sanitizing techniques. At Johns Hopkins Hospital, she leveraged EMR software to efficiently document and store patient medical info, and she also trained other nurses as well. She got her degree at the Arizona University of Nursing. Now last we have Abigail Adams, in which she was a lifeguard. She learned how to cope with stress and is CPR certified. She gained people skills at a Goodyear Target by being a cashier, and she got to be in a hospital environment by being a receptionist at Banner University Medical Center. Her skills are that she's friendly, respectful, punctual, caring, and she's very good with people, considering that she worked at Target Goodyear. So I'll be rolling out some polls regarding the professionality and the different characteristics of these resumes.
So Han, do you want me to start the polls or are you going to do it?
You should. I don't think I have access while screen sharing.
Okay, it looks like we have 24 people who have voted at this point in time.
Do you mind reading the results?
I will be happy to. So which of these three resumes seems most professionally written? Resume 1 had 32% or 8 voters, and resume 2 had 68% or 17 votes, and resume 3 had 0 votes.
Okay, yes, resume 2 was the resume which we were trying to make most professionally written. Now let's share poll number 2.
Let's see if I can. Hold on. It just wanted to do poll 1. So let's see here. So I shared those results. Okay. Okay, poll 2. Nope, same poll. So I don't think the other poll questions stuck. This is the only poll. Let's see, let me try something else.
So there was one test poll that had the first question, and the second poll had all the rest of the questions.
All right, so let me see if I can get, oh, poll 2. Here we go. All righty. So, okay, so we had question 1, which we already did. All right, so now I'm gonna launch. So now we have all 3, sorry. So if you want to revote for which of the 3 resumes seem most professional, I didn't realize poll 1 was a test.
So we have all 8 questions up for
Yes.
the audience to
Yes.
participate in. So just be sure to fill them out.
Yes, all 8 questions. As of now, we've had 0 people vote or answer any poll questions. We've had 5 viewers or 5 attendees, 6. We are now at about 50% of our attendees. Okay, we're going to take about another 10 seconds. So if you will try to finish up your voting. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to close the poll. And now I'm going to share the results.
Okay, so as far as results go, for our question 1, which of the 3 resumes seem most professionally written, we had resume 2 at 92%, and we had resume 1 at 8%. For number 2, if at which of the following should start off your resume? We had 16% write-off education, 8% write-off volunteer work or job experience, and 76% write-off the professional summary. And the correct answer is the professional summary. Now, for question number 3, it is, which of the following is not needed in your resume? 24% answered summary of skills learned from your previous jobs, and then 76% answered the objective of the resume. And I would say that the objective of the resume is not needed because your objective is to get the job which you are applying for, or to get into the internship which you're applying for. Now, question number 4 is, what should resumes applying to a selective program include within their resume? 80% included keywords from the organization's mission and jobs summary, and then 20% included restated descriptions of the job's duty. Now the correct answer is answer number 1, keywords from the mission and summary. Now, question number 5 is, what is a key difference that you notice between Abigail and John's resume? Now, all of these are correct, however, I asked the key difference. So number 1 is John has his address within his email and Abigail does not. 32% answered John expands on what he learned in his job experience while Abigail briefly describes it. Now 64% answered Abigail offers generic skills while John offers specific job-related skills. Now question number 6 asks, what's the key difference between Sabrina and John's resumes? And 48% answered John does not highlight the leadership skills which he learned, whereas Sabrina does. 36% highlights John's summary of qualifications do not reflect his job experience, while Sabrina's summary does. And 16% answered Sabrina places less focus on her education experience than John does, and the correct answer is answer number 1. For our 7th question is, have you written a resume? Did this experience help you how to craft one? 48% is answered, yes, I've made one before, this did help me. 8% answered, yes, I've made one before, no, yes, I've made one before, no, this did not help me. And 44% answered, no, I've not made one before, yes, this did help me. And 0% answered, no, I've not made one, and no, it did not make me. Now, question number 8, did you enjoy this webinar? And everyone answered yes, it was highly informative. Now, I'm gonna pass this on to our wonderful speaker, Molly, to close off our webinar.
I'm muted. Hi, everyone. So I think that wraps up our event for tonight. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and email the board or myself at mollymoody00@gmail.com, and we will connect you with the panelists and get your questions answered. Lastly, we wanted to give a huge thank you to all of our attendees for participating, and an even bigger thank you to our panelists. You guys are awesome. We super appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight and providing your knowledge and insights so enthusiastically. We also wanted to go ahead and encourage you guys to attend our third Teen Talk of this series on July 9th that will feature other panelists of impressive teens who will share everything they know about entering the STEM field in high school and how to get involved. We will have those links in our Instagrams very soon. And that's all for tonight. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your night, and we really appreciate having you guys here.
Hey, Molly, before everybody goes, you will get a follow-up email at the end of you'll get a link at the end of this webinar, and then also you'll get a follow-up email. It's just a survey. Please let us know how you enjoyed this event or not, and give us feedback on other things that you would like to see the Arizona Science Center Teen Advisory Board do for you as teens. And that is it.
Alrighty. Well, I hope everyone has a good rest of your night, and I think that's a good time to log off. Sohan, anything else to say?
Thank you so much. Wear a mask, stay safe, don't catch coronavirus, and have a fantastic day.
Alrighty.
Enjoy your summer. It's already June 25th.
my goodness.
Bye.
Bye, guys.